spinning into control. Gold's food for the soul. I stole and plundered your own. I got you stuck to my hole. Now watch me as I grow. A free state is all for show. So if my story ain't told, hello, CMO.
Hi, and how are you guys doing today? I am so sorry again for disappearing on y'all, but I am back. I am ready for this topic today. I had to psych panda myself today because this is a hard topic to talk about, guys. But welcome to Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254, and I'm back. I'm ready to tell you guys a lot that has been happening in my life lately, but also we're going to be talking about school trauma, because let me tell you, it is a pattern I notice. As you know, most of the topics I bring here are usually very relatable because it's things inspired by my clients. I talk about things, either my clients or colleagues' clients, or case studies that like speak to me from a Kenyan context, of course, because it is Radio 254, of course. But today, for sure, we have to talk about school trauma. And the thing that actually brought my attention to this is that trend on TikTok that has that song for You Are Lying, that one. I can't sing it because for some reason the song has gone, but it is that one. And let me tell you, it sparked some memories, some painful memories, I'm telling you. Hey, and I said I gotta talk about this on Radio 254 because a lot of people have gone through school trauma that kind of adds on to their complex PTSD and has actually changed the way they function in their workspaces, in their home life, how they even treat themselves, and how they even think they work, and actually how they judge what they do. And therefore, I had to come around and talk about it just for a bit, because also me personally, I was affected. You know, I saw some schools there and I noticed one of my schools wasn't there. I'm guessing the people who came from that school are okay. If they're not, I'm here to talk about that school, even though I might not mention names. Anyway, guys, I am so sorry I'm late. Nimetoka Athi River. And it rained. And you know how when it rains, it pours cars. I don't know where the cars come from. Just traffic. And it was my fault for going to Athi River because I always go there and then I get relaxed. Then I don't want to leave. But I hope you guys are enjoying your day so far or your evening so far. Wale wa kwenda out, just chill kidogo for the next 2 hours with me. Let's talk a bit about school trauma. You know, join me. Let's jam. Let's have a bit of fun. After that, you can go and enjoy yourself because even me, I need to go and enjoy myself. But welcome to Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. Enjoy.
From another past, another point of view, an endless wonderland and math too good to be true. Feel a thrill of pure elation, riding high on imagination. Start afresh, take a chance on life anew. Kick it into high gear, take my hand and climb on here. What do you have to uko happy, don't be sorry. Epiko wapi leta mode. We believe in la vida loca right here. Moto inawaka so joto na pe. I wish ungesikia vile mimi nasikia. We believe in la vida loca right here. Kipopo lazima tukeshe, yani lazima tucheze, yani lazima iweze. Igenje kuja tutese. Kipopo lazima tukeshe, yani lazima tucheze, yani lazima iweze. Igenje kuja tutese.
Just wanna free up my mind, just wanna get into vibe. Ooh, wanna feel alive tonight. Fanya kama this time. Just wanna free up my mind, just wanna get into vibe. Ooh, wanna feel alive.
Kusema kweli bado nakuhata, and on the daily bado nakufata. Kosa sio hoja zaidi ya kukupenda. Vipi nikatupa ndoto tulizoziota. Uliniwasha nare enzi zetu za kupare, kwa mvinyo na makale, magizani hadi ngware, nikijifanya daktari wa mabinti wale wenye shepu za hatari, nikapotelea ndani. Kila mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona tabasamu la kishua, roho sawa na mabua. I can't help but miss you every morning. Vile unapendeza, kama ningeweza jua yepi ya kutarajia, nisingejipata mashakani kwa niliyoyatenda. Ninayempenda ni wewe, hakuna mwingine wa kubadili penzi. Ningependa tuelewane, kiburi kisinikosanishe nawe. Uliniwasha pale na sikushika nare, ukanisema kwa jirani kwamba mimi kisirane. Aibu za hadharani, vile penzi hatari. Njoo unipe amani kama hapo zamani. Mwambie nampenda, oh yeah, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona mwambie nampenda, roho ya mtamani bado nampenda. Ukimwona
It's Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. And welcome for those who are just tuning in. Today's topic or today's episode 46, and we are talking about school trauma, especially in the Kenyan school system. Because hey. Anyway, for those who are joining right now, you can join on my live on mental health _ by anastasia.ke on Instagram, or you can just stay tuned and listen to the vibes, listen to the topic, and just, you don't have to interact. But IG, if you want to interact with me, you can just join my live there. Anywhoosies. So, I am so sorry, guys, that I wasn't being consistent. I'm not going to lie. But that is because I have been traveling a lot. So, Easter, and I wasn't going to come into Easter. And because I work on public holidays, I was not going to, I tend to work on public holidays, so I was like, nope. And then last weekend, I decided to escape a bit to Nakuru, and it was amazing. It was really, really, really nice. I did like a solo travel thing. Came back with food poisoning. Okay, not food poisoning really, but my stomach wasn't just hey. But it's okay. We live, we learn. But yeah, it was. I enjoyed myself in Nakuru. It was a nice drive, as you know. I love driving. So while I was in Nakuru, like usiku now, I was scrolling on them TikToks, and then I'm not new to the trend, actually. I've been following that trend religiously. But then it reminded me, I started watching that trend, that trend, that people post the Kenyan high school, especially high school, because the trend hadn't like expanded to like primary schools and everything else. So it was mainly high schools, and it was mainly female, female centered high schools. Only female, that one. Only female high schools, and it was girls like posting their toxic teachers, and talking about their own trauma stories, horror. Let me tell you guys, horror. Yeah. There was this girl who was talking about, I don't know if you guys have had, but for those who haven't, there was this girl who, I don't know why teachers lie like that, but so she was saying a story about how, I don't know what had happened. I don't remember the story quite well because I listened to it that Saturday I was in Nakuru. And this girl had, I don't know what had happened, but there was like a mass expulsion or something. And so because of that mass expulsion, I don't know what she missed or what she had done. And the teachers tried pinning it on her. And she was like wondering, like, why would you pin it on me? And she was trying to tell like the other teachers, like, I wasn't even here, so how would you pin this on me? And like the teachers had insisted. They even called her parents, and of course her parents, typical parents would have believed the teachers. Okay, I'm not gonna say typical because not all parents, but typical, they believed the teachers, and they were like, what is wrong? Then so now she's like, you guys weren't home. Like, honestly, and you're not the type of people I would hide such information from, but it had become a whole case until this one teacher like came to her rescue and was like, no, she wasn't here, so it couldn't have been her. And like this, oh yes, I remembered. So she was supposed to go for midterm, but then what had happened, the people who had been expelled weren't allowed to go on midterm, but she wasn't expelled. But there was a teacher trying to say, but you were expelled, you were already home, so there's no need for you to go home. And she's like, but why aren't you calling my parents to confirm this so that you can know that I wasn't home? So even then they were like, oh no, you can't go home. And she had been in school throughout, so she was about to be in school even during midterm, and she was like, no, we're not doing this. And they even called her parents, and they were like, oh, she's being insubordinate and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like honestly, until one teacher tried to come and calm down the situation. But even then, that one teacher was bringing issues, was like, no, Sidri, what? And then at some point it had almost become a story of now Atishi has some relations with now the teacher who was defending her. I was watching that TikTok. It was like a part 1, part 2, Sidri, part what? I was so stressed. I was actually stressed to the point where I almost cried for her, because it's like, this is not fair. Now, of course, there have also been allegations, I'm going to say allegedly, where teachers have been calling the parents of these people to oust them because it's based off of false information, allegedly. Okay, I'm going to put in allegedly. And for those who are on my IG live, do not comment on my facial expressions, because you know how I feel about this situation. So allegedly, yeah. So TikTok has been, the teachers have been mass reporting these videos and they've been brought down and things like that. But of course, who are Kenyans? There's one guy whose name I completely forgot, who has still been reposting those videos. He comes, he reposts, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? Call my parents?" And he's been reposting. He's like some old guy, and he was like, it's time for us to learn to borrow a leaf from Gen Zs. They're the ones standing up for, for us and for the torture we went through, which might as well have their back, because what are they going to do? Call our parents? We're like their age. So it was a whole thing. And up to now, I think it is, but it's died down a bit. I'm guessing because of the mass reportings and the fact that some of these kids were still in high school. So, it's a bit of a trick situation. And it reminded me of, I was watching news, which I rarely do, but I was watching news during Easter, and there's a school that burnt down, and nobody was hurt. Nobody was hurt. It was just a lot of property damage, of course, because it was a massive fire, but no one was hurt. And the students who were alleged, I'm going to use a lot of allegedlys today, but the students who were allegedly responsible were arrested. And I remember sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, but you haven't solved the problem. What you've done is caught the culprits, but you haven't solved the problem. Have you? And I remember my mom, saying, not my mom, my grandmother was like, because I was visiting my grandmother, she was like, "Oh my gosh, these school fires have become so much." And my mom asked a very valid question. Have you ever wondered why? Like, why is it now it's become so much? Why is it now all these kids want to be home or would rather be home or leave school than going to school, when during my time, as we didn't ban schools, like, we went to school and we were fine. You guys left us and we were okay. Why is it now all of a sudden there's like every 5 minutes there's a kid who started a fire in a school? And it got me thinking. Then the trend starts and I was like, here we go. So the trend is, as I'm going to explain, is just people ousting their high school teachers. And I saw even one high school that, for those who are close to me, for those who know where I live, there's like a school right there next door that I have beef with. There's a school. It's like a school there. I'm not going to say if it's primary or high school, but there's like a school, education there that I have beef with. And I don't even have beef with the entire school. I have beef with the principal, the headmistress, the whatever they're going to call her. And I saw her on the trend and I was very happy, because that woman, oh my gosh, I had beef with her because I had a girl going there and I was practically her guardian, and I would go for like parent-teacher things, which I hated. I'd go, pick her up from school. I would do a lot. That principal used to get on my nerves. And so I remember the first day I met her. I will never ever forget that day, because I had gone with the mother of the girl, who is a very close friend of mine. I had gone, and the reason why I went to the mother of the girl is I told her, let me tell you something, yeah? If anything happens, I'm going to lose my head, so I need somebody who is calm. And she's very calm. She's very calm, cool, collected. And the reason why I was going was because my poor little girl's lunch kept being stolen every time, like all the time. She carried lunch because my mother was not going to let her eat the school lunch because she saw the kitchen, and she was like, I don't feel like paying medical bills because that kitchen looks sketchy. So she used to carry packed lunch, and every day this girl would come home crying because she hasn't eaten anything the whole day. And she, even her herself, she tried eating the school food and it was just not working for her because she got sick one day. So she was carrying lunch. So every day she'd come. So my mom was like, my mom first tried sending an email, null and void, because that school out there, it's that school next to me. Anyway, so I went. I was like, let me go. I was like, Mom, let me go. We go and see what the problem is. Maybe I can talk to a teacher. So I spoke to the teacher, her class teacher. The class teacher was like, talk to the principal, because I was like, I just need the principal to just like make an announcement and say, stop stealing and stuff like that. Please note that time I had my dreadlocks and they were blonde. Yeah, they were blonde. I remember they were blonde. And, really long. I had tied them like in a bun, the way I have my hair now today, for those on my live. And, I had a t-shirt. It was hot, so my tattoos were showing. For those who don't know, I have tattoos, and if you don't know by now, honestly, how long have you been following me? I have tattoos, and as per usual, I had colorful nails. I'm not very low-key with my dressing. I'm very bright, right? So I get I get to see, first of all, she kept us waiting for an hour, which I didn't mind because I could see her randarandaing. It looked like she was like really busy. I didn't mind waiting because I really didn't have anything to do that day. So, and they had warned me, well, the teacher had warned me, the class teacher had warned me, like, she's busy, she's been up and about, but she will come to you. So we sat down about an hour. So she came and she's like, she didn't even look at me. She looked at the lady I was with and she's like, hello. And I'm like, hi. And she like looks at me and then she continues talking to the lady I'm with. And I'm like, hello, I am the one who actually requested to talk to you. And she's like, okay, what is this about? And I was like, okay, so my girl, her lunch keeps being stolen. Is there a way you can make like an announcement for these kids to stop stealing? Because it's not fair to her for her to stay hungry. And then she goes, why isn't she eating school lunch? And I said, we're not comfortable with her eating school lunch because she just lives here. She can just carry lunch. And then she's like, she should eat school lunch. And we're like, we don't feel like paying the extra money for school lunch. She's carrying her lunch. Okay. Then she's like, Kwani, where does she put her lunch box? And I'm like, in her bag, in her desk. It's like, then she says this, and I'll never forget. She goes, you know, certain behaviors are first taught at home. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, I see. I see where the low-key blows are coming in. So I was like, so are you trying to say that she's being careless? And if that is the case, where do you want her to put her things? Because she can't put them in her desk. Her desk is being pick-locked. We've bought so many padlocks. It keeps being pick-locked and the lunch is still being stolen. And she's like, she has to be smart with where she puts her things. And we're like, okay, where should she be smart with putting, since you have some suggestions? And at this time, the lady near me was like tapping me to like calm down because I was like getting riled up. I was so mad. I was getting so angry. So I'm like, where should she, you know what, you're feeling smart, so where should she put her things? And she cuts me off even before I finish that question. And she goes, but then what do you even do? And I told her at that time I was a teacher. So I was like, I'm an educator and I'm a counseling psychologist for kids. And she's like, she looks me up and down and she's like, with tattoos? And I'm like, yes. And I said, actually, I've learned that these tattoos tend to make the kids a bit more comfortable around me. And she's like, and dreadlocks with your hair looking like that. And I looked at her head. And I am not one, no, I'm going to lie. No, let me not lie. I am one to be very petty. And I looked at the roadkill on her head and I was like, why? Why would you? Why would you say that when your wig is sideways? You haven't even put your wig properly. Hey. So I was just looking at her and I was like, you know what? Let me keep quiet. And I just told the lady next to me, like, you take over because at this rate, this little girl might be kicked out of school because of me. So let me just relax. So we had a conversation and I said, what? I was like, you know what? I even know a better solution to this. Don't worry, we'll go. And we went. So my mom started cooking food with chili in it. And since the girl could tolerate the chili, people stopped stealing her food because her food had chili. But anyway, what the point of that story is that I wasn't surprised to see her on this trend. I wasn't surprised to see her on this trend because if already you're judging me based off of how I look and assuming that my intellect is way less than yours because of how I look, forgetting that I'm here because you are providing a service to me. This is an interaction. There's money that's paid in terms of fees and you educate my child. It's supposed to be a safe space and yet somehow already it was already my child's fault as to why things were happening to her. Right? And that is the mentality that a lot of these schools have. And I wasn't shocked that this trend came about because a lot of the times these schools in general, especially the 844 system, there's a problem. And there's a problem because I'm also even going to talk about my own school that I went to. Jesus, I was in 844 for primary and then the rest I was in IGCSE, and even that IGCSE, it had its problems. But the way the schools are set up, instead of being a safe space for kids, there was a lot of gaslighting that used to happen. So I know that you couldn't be depressed, you couldn't have anxiety, you couldn't, I remember people used to make fun of the kids who used to faint during parade and to be like, oh my gosh, why is she fainting? And come to think of it, why are you laughing at somebody losing consciousness? And that's just because you've been programmed to think that this was attention seeking behavior. And because of that, you grow up to be an adult who doesn't want to express your feelings because you were programmed to think it was attention seeking behavior. And school trauma shows itself like that. It presents itself as that. You don't want to talk about things because when you were in school and things were tough, you couldn't say anything because you were seeking, you were being, how can I say this, too much, quote unquote, too much. And that's how you were programmed. Now, before I get into the story about my school, because I can go on and on and on about this, let's enjoy a bit of music. Let's take a break before I come back and tell you a bit more on how your mind has been programmed by the education system in Kenya and how your relationship with mental health and your workspace are as a result, that was a tongue twister, are as a result of your high school or primary school experience. Anyway, this is Attention by Blinky Bill.
keep my mind occupied.
I'm ready to disco. You got to give me something, and I'll give you something back. I'm ready to disco. You got to give me something, and I'll give you something back. And we're back. For those who are just tuning in, it's Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254. I hope you guys are okay. You're chilling. You're good. For those who have been with me, welcome back. Well, let's vent some more. And for those who are joining my IG live, welcome. And yes, is _Puka. School days were mad. They were crazy. And what sucks is how we were programmed into thinking this was okay. And this is where my personal story comes in. And it was in primary. I can't say my high school was that bad, honestly. Yeah, I had some crazy teachers, and our director used to call us prostitutes. But the director of the school used to call us prostitutes. Well, the women were going to become prostitutes for some reason. I don't know what her beef was with us, honestly. It was insane. She'd come, so we'd go to chapel, we'd go to church on Sunday, and she'd get so mad at us. And she'd be like, you women, all of you will become prostitutes. And she couldn't say prostitutes, she was prostitutes in her institution, because she couldn't say it. I guess when there were T's gathered together, it was too hard for her to pronounce the words. So in her institution, she didn't want to be raising prostitutes. Anywho, so my primary school, I went to a primary school, a very popular primary school that was known to excel. It was known to like we were constantly number one. Like, hey, that school, man. We were always beefing with another school. Also, I don't know why we were beefing with that school, honestly, because I had friends from there. I have very close friends from there, but we're always beefing with that school. And that school was insane. So I had been in that school from standard 1, third term, till standard 8, and I did my KCPE there. And that school was mad. I'm not gonna lie. Yo. I remember being beaten for getting a 98, like thoroughly beaten, like so badly my back had marks. It was so bad I couldn't like stretch. You know how you push your hands to the front so that you can stretch? I couldn't do that. And these guys had pride in creating weapons. I'm just gonna quote weapons to beat you with. So I remember I had this English teacher who would, you see those mikebeza zinaitwa nini, mikebeza kasuku, the handle, and then she would take like 3 of them, then wrap them in masking tape, and then wrap them in rope, and then beat you with that. And then I remember there was a teacher, I remember that pen thing where they'd put pens in between your fingers and then squeeze. And then I had a teacher who would like take a duster, right, and like gonga your knuckles, and the part of your nail, you know that part that Isha has on your nail near your finger apple, that's where he used to beat. And that school was so, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's nobody who's gone to that school, and there are many of us who's gone to that school and who has come out and said, I had amazing memories from that school. None, because we were tortured. I think that's how we were able to be
number one all the time as a school because where we were beaten. And I remember the one time I think I had ficad my end was in standard 8. I think it was because I was like, you know what, I'm done with school. It's over. Like, it was standard 8 second term. And we were practicing the KCPE papers. We had, at school used to we used to know the papers. We even used to know how the questions would come, what choices we used to be given. And if we even used to know when the answer was not there because we knew how the papers were supposed to come, bro. Like, we were trained. And I remember that day, it was Kiswahili. And I remember, I wasn't good in Swa. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good in Swa. So, I was good in every other subject but Swa. Swa was just my downfall. And I remember he was trying to teach us, he was trying to, we were answering questions like a speed run. Like, I ask you a question, you answer quickly, like you have 5 seconds. And I remember that day, we were all standing, and he took, what had he taken? He had taken a hanger he had cutted from freaking Jesma papers. Anyway, sorry, I'm responding to my IG live, guys. You can come join my IG live before. But yeah, so he had taken a hanger, the wire hanger, a bunch of them, and cutted them and made like a weapon. They used to make weapons because they were cool like that. They had no other business but to make weapons to torture other people's kids. Just saying, surely, maybe what they could be doing is just teach. I don't know. But anyway, so he had that and he was beating us. And I remember he had beat my friend, and then she got it wrong, and then it was my turn, and he beat me on my thigh. So I don't know where he was aiming for, because anyway, I'll tell you why I'm pissed off. So he hit my thigh, and he hit it like 5 times, and I lost it. I think I lost it. Something snapped in the back of my mind. So we went for a break because school used to end at 7:30 p.m. What time did school used to end? 7 p.m. So we used to have a tea break at 5:30. I don't remember what time those breaks. So where we used to be given tea and mandazi. We used to have 13-hour days, by the way. That's why that school was number one all the time. We used to go to school. We used to figure school at 6:30 a.m. School used to start at 6:30 a.m. and at 7 p.m. So we were going for tea, and I remember I was mad. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was so pissed off because I had been beaten right before that tea. Hata hiyo chai ilikuwa na taste tamu. Na vile ilikuwanga tamu. Didn't taste nice. It tasted like, I don't even know. I was so mad. So I took my tea, I went back to class. So when he came back to class, he's like, all of you on your knees. I refused. Yo, Anna is brave. Anastasia is brave. I refused to go on my knees. I was like, all of you, you're all gonna fail KCP. All of you on your knees. Anastasia is who on the... And then he comes and he's like, Anastasia, why aren't you on your... Okay, then I used to be called Adhiambo. So I'm still called Adhiambo, but then I used to go by Adhiambo. And it's like, Adhiambo, why aren't you on your knees? And I looked at him and I was like, not after you beat me like that. What the hell do you think you were doing? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, why would you beat my... What is wrong with you? We're finishing school. And my classmates were like, yo, she cracked. I had lost it. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you beat me on with this. He's like, no, I wasn't trying to beat your thigh. I'm like, okay, please tell me which other body part you could have mistaken for my thigh. Like, I'm sorry, what are you going for? My butt? Like, I'm not sure which place you could have, like, I was so mad, and I keleleshad him. Like, I had completely cracked. I keleleshad that teacher. And after that, he was just like, we're going to take a break. All of you sit on your chairs. We will just take a break. We don't need to learn anymore. I had lost it. I remember the chick who used to sit next to me was like, yo, what's up? Like, what happened? And I'm like, no, we are finishing school, guys. We are finishing school. Like, this is, I can't, I'm tired. I had been beaten from standard 1 to standard 8 like a donkey. Like, I was at a hairy donkeys. Bro, I was so done. I think I had just reached my limit. And that school was insane. And the amount of, I guess, what ended up happening is, I think every person who came from that school has no sense of self-appreciation. Like, there was so much self-criticism because it was either perfect or nothing. Like, literally, you couldn't have been almost perfect. You couldn't have almost gotten the perfect grade. You couldn't have been almost number 1. You were either number 1 or you were nothing. You either got those 450 marks or nothing. So if you got the 50 marks, good on you. If you got 449, you're being beaten. Like, it was... all or nothing. And therefore, because of that, I guess a lot of us ended up being perfectionists. And I know a lot of you who are following me, who are watching me, who are my clients, know you're struggling with perfectionism. And it's not just because maybe you grew up in a family household that required you to be void of all mistakes, but also aside from that, or on top of that, the schools you went to, there was no way progress was, appreciated, because what is progress? It's either you're good or you're not good. Hakuna kitu ka progress. And yet, practice makes progress. You can never be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. You can be good at what you do. You can reach the maximum of what you do, but there's always something you wouldn't have known or you can't know. And because of the could I call it indoctrination? I think I'm using the wrong word. But because of whatever was happening in schools, you have this need to drive for perfectionism. Another problem that came with, or as a result of, I need to find another way of saying that, is as a result of school trauma, is comparison Olympics. Yeah, it's comparison Olympics. It's, we sit down and we have to be better than the next person and not better than our former selves. We have to have the bigger car, the better job, the bigger, the larger salary, the more together or put together family, the prettier face. It always has to be a comparison to the next person. It's a comparison Olympics. So you find a bunch of us who are in our mid-20s, a bunch of people who are in their mid-30s who feel like they failed. And yet life has just begun, man. You're there giving yourself pressures about, oh, this person has already gotten a 6-figure salary. They're already driving a car, their own car. Me, I'm still living in my parents' house. Yeah, because the economy is in the gutter, man. And by the way, do you even have the same goals as that person you're comparing yourself to? And even if you did, do you have the same background, the same resources to be comparing yourself to that person? But because of the education system you grew up in, aside from the fact that, your family may have wanted a certain type of characteristic from you, the school you were brought up in, it was always comparison. It was get the amazing grades so that you can be on the news, so that you can go to a good high school or the top high school, so that you can go to the best universities. And it wasn't, primary school, oh, you didn't do too well, but you've gone to high school and you've proven yourself, which is not the top, but you have proven yourself. You've done the most that you can and you've tried your best. And you've gone to a university and you've done it. And you're here with people with degrees who feel like they've done absolutely nothing because their next person is either doing better than them or has gone to another place. And forgetting something called individual differences, guys. We have different goals, we have different backgrounds, we have different resources. We can't be better than the next person, but what we can do is improve ourselves. We can grow ourselves. But unfortunately, because of school trauma, guys, hello, say it with me, we want perfectionism. Another thing is being bullied by teachers, and I'm gonna call them out. I won't say by name, but I'm gonna call out that high school teacher that bullied a girl because she had long hair and made them. By the way, I have a story like that, by the way. A high school girl, the teachers used to bully her because she had long hair, and they ended up cutting her hair. What does that have to do with education? What you've taught this girl essentially, or instilled in this poor girl essentially, at the peak of the emotion, well, not peak of the emotion, actually the beginning of the emotional development or emotional intelligence development and personality development, is that they cannot be better than someone, or they cannot express themselves, because if they do, they'll be punished for it. I'm talking about the high school teachers who took my pair of earrings because they weren't quote unquote school code, but I still want those earrings because they were given to me by my mother. But if I find that teacher, they're giving me back my earrings. They weren't school code, and that's also another thing. Okay, those earrings, first of all, they weren't like the ones I'm wearing. I'm wearing like long rectangular hoops, which is another problem I have. We then get out of this uniformed place, and then we come out into the world with no sense of identity because we're used to being punished for having a sense of identity. And then it becomes a whole thing in the news where all these graduates are all lost. They don't want to do they have no sense of identity. But what in school was encouraging them to have a sense of identity? If a girl's hair was gonna be cut because it was too long, if a boy who decided to be a bit too clean or just be a bit too feminine was punished for it because they were being man enough. Like, honestly, guys, come on. And that's another, way school trauma presents itself. Another way is toxic Kenyan corporate culture. And I know I am running out of time. I have like 30 minutes. But toxic Kenyan corporate culture. We have then transferred the high school culture, the toxic high school culture, because we couldn't practice it in university. We moved it into corporate life. I know a lot of people who are going through high school problems in their workspace. And that is why there are a lot of Gen Zs and later millennials who are working very hard to work remotely, because you're being brought back to a time where it was traumatic and you're dealing with big adult people who are adult like you, and you're bringing high school problems to an adult workspace that have nothing to do with your productivity, nothing to do with the company's goals or growth, nothing. But you've transferred the high school culture into corporate. That is another way school trauma presents itself in us now, because we don't know how to live otherwise. We don't know how to just mind our own business. We bring the toxic school culture into the adult world. It does not make sense. Another way is the programming that I had talked about before the break. We are programmed, unfortunately, unless you now start questioning it, unless you now go for therapy and challenge it. You don't have to go for therapy to challenge it, but until you start challenging it, you're programmed to think that you shouldn't brag about your accomplishments. And your accomplishments are your own. It's not accomplishments that everybody should recognize. Something like getting out of bed on a bad day and brushing your teeth and actually showing up to work is an accomplishment for that day. It's not something that is, oh wow, newsworthy, something that you should post on Instagram, but it is something that has happened. It's an accomplishment. And those who appreciate you will appreciate that as an accomplishment. But you've been programmed otherwise. Another very annoying programming is that and I'm so sorry for the people who are older than me that are listening to this, but the older you are, the more experienced and more intelligent you are. That is very false. It is very false, because we're in a world where there are young CEOs who have delegates who are twice their age. We're in a world where anybody can be a business owner and run a very successful business. And we're in a world where we recognize that the success of a business has nothing to do with the amount of money that it's making, and everything to do with the amount of impact it's made on its clients. But unfortunately, because of where you ended up going to school, especially if in the Kenya school system, you don't have... You have this thing where you let yourself be bullied by people. Also, the programming where self-expression is wrong. There's a way to express yourself, okay? And I'm not saying to express yourself in a way that makes other people comfortable. No, there's a way to express yourself. Express yourself as you are. Find your own identity, be proud of it, and express it, because it is who you are. At the end of it all, it is just you by yourself. Like, honestly, it is just you. But unfortunately, because, you couldn't wear earring hoops that were way too big because other people would get jealous. I remember this. What was the excuse for not wearing hoops or what? It was because because other kids would get jealous. That was usually the excuse. Or you couldn't have your hair. I know some schools you couldn't have long hair because jealousy again. Or boys were known to keep their hair unkempt. And I sit down and I think about it, and I'm like, all the guys in my life have long hair and their hair is always neat. Like, I've never, almost, I feel like they go to the salon and the barber more than I do go to the salon, because their hair is always kept, always 100%. And they always have a comb in their bag. Like, never ask a chick for a comb, ask a dude. Dudes always have brushes in their bags, man. And you were taught that men can't keep long hair because they can't keep it kempt. And, girls can't have long hair in school because other girls will get jealous and cut it. So you cut my hair. Like, honestly. And yes, the Joker _audio. Yes, Kenya iko na utoto. Like, let me tell you. Hey. But yeah. And so you're programmed into to abandoning your sense of identity because you were told it will make other people uncomfortable. But I keep saying the people who are meant to be with you will find your way of expression sort of amazing, gratifying. It will feel so good to be a part of it. The people who are meant to be in your circle will find your way of expression amazing. Like, I can't go to people who think that dyeing hair, and I'm not judging them. Like, there are some people who are very uncomfortable with dyeing their hair bright colors. I can't go to them and force them to like my hair color, honestly. That wouldn't be fair to them and to me, right? So the people who are meant to be around you will allow you to express yourself as you are. But unfortunately, you grew up thinking that self-expression makes other people uncomfortable, and therefore you must conform to dulling yourself down. I remember Benjamin Zulu, he's a psychologist and a preacher, and he was saying how he got so frustrated at women in church for dressing. He said, what did he say? He just made me laugh. He said, women in church, stop dressing as if you're already 70 years old. Right? Wear fitting clothes, wear nice clothes. I'm not saying come in a miniskirt, but I'm saying those things that don't even show whether you have a chest or thighs. Like, come on, what are you doing? Like, honestly, wear clothes that fit and make you happy, so that when you come to the house of God, you're happy, you feel good, you look good, and now you can praise and have fun. Like, he went all out about it, and it's an episode. But then, and exactly, there's someone on my IG live called Tali Vicky who says, those who are for you get you, which is true. But unfortunately, there's so many people now in their late 20s, early 30s and mid 30s who are now finding their identity because guess what? Throughout their entire education life, throughout their entire upbringing, they were told self-expression makes other people uncomfortable and your duty is to make other people comfortable. That's not it. Come on. How else are you going to brag about your achievements at the workspace? Kwanza ukiingia interview, the interviewer is asking you what are your achievements. You don't know how to express yourself, because you self-expression wasn't encouraged. So how are you going to express yourself in an interview? You have to brag in an interview. You have to say your achievements, but you can't, you are told it makes other people uncomfortable. And those are just the many ways school trauma affects how you actually act in the workspace and your day-to-day life. There's a lot that comes with school trauma, especially in Kenya. In Kenya, it's all about being bland. It's all about being, and there's bland and there's corporate. Don't confuse those two. Bland, like bland. I'm not talking about corporate because corporate can be cool. I'm talking about bland, because whenever, people always think black suits, and I'm like, there's some black suits that look nice, right? But yeah. When I'm talking about bland, I'm talking about you don't want to show who you are. You don't want to show yourself out because you worked so hard to create this identity, to find yourself. You should be allowed just a bit to brag about it, right? You should have those bright nails. I'm saying that because I have bright red nails. But you should have those red nails. You should have your tattoos. You should be able to dress in a way that shows you, that kind of says, oh yeah, that is Anastasia because that's how she dresses, You should be allowed to express yourself. And yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm seeing on my IG live again, praise_Jude, boys must shave their beards because you're competing with male you're competing with male teachers. Oh my gosh. And there was this thing where adults are competing with kids. Like, this child is 20 years 30, 40 years younger than you, and you're competing with them. Why are you jealous of a child? Honestly, this child has come to learn. This child has come to get some information so that later on in life they can impact the world, they can impact their country, they can impact the next child. But you're busy jealous because their hair is long or their beard is fuller than yours. What is the problem, honestly? And that was the other issue. And that's why I agreed, Kenya iko na utoto, because it was full-grown adults. It is, let me not even say it like it's a past, because this trend is about high school students who are still in school right now. It's adults who are in competition with kids who are 10, 20, 30 years younger than them. And I think it is a lot of projection of insecurities that these adults had when they were growing up. I wish I had this and that. I wish I had the fuller beard. I wish I had the longer hair. And therefore they project onto these kids because these kids, first of all, are not their own. And second, these kids won't say anything. But now that these kids started saying something, they got threatened about it. They got very threatened. They got I guess they got threatened and then start mass reporting these kids. But guess what? You're jealous because of a child and you're projecting. Your inner child is wounded. Go for therapy. Don't go projecting onto children. The poor kids had nothing. They did nothing to you. And then you start shtukaing when you start hearing stories of schools being burnt down because kids want to go home. Let me just go and deal with mom and dad, then deal with this teacher who's jealous of me. I haven't even done anything to them, but I'm being told to do knee walk on gravel from one end to the other because I didn't cut my hair when I was at home. Is that a me thing? Do I even earn a salary to cut my hair? And that's the kind of toxic school culture that there is. And if we don't take care, it will then overpower the Kenyan corporate culture, because that's what's ending up happening. We are bringing the high school, the primary school culture into corporate life, and then now we're starting now this problem. Now you're having beef with a 50-year-old lady because you have a skirt that is not as long as hers. Like, this is it's insane. Let people be. Yes, there's decorum. There's wearing a certain type of way because of where you are in the industry so that people can take you seriously. But bullying is where you draw the line. You can't be bullying people because you're projecting onto those people your insecurities. Go for help. And if you're the type of person who thinks therapy doesn't work, please, this is your eye opener. Therapy does work. It does. Because these projections you're doing onto little kids, other people's little kids, they're not your own. This kid is gonna go home and tell their parent they're depressed, and the parent is wondering, now what did I do? Right? It's not just there in the moment. You're impacting this kid forever. And now I'm sitting in session trying to teach somebody that perfectionism doesn't exist, but they really don't understand why. Because guess what? As you've said, is Puka. Your name is _ Puka. Speaking up and you get whooped. That is so true. You can't speak up for yourself. You can't talk. You can't even express your boundaries. That's also another way school trauma represents itself as an adult. You can't speak up your boundaries because guess what? You spoke up, you got beaten. You said something wasn't right, you got beaten. You spoke up to a teacher, you either got suspended, you did what punishment where, or you got beaten. Like, there was no otherwise. And therefore, we are sitting down trying to learn things that we were meant to learn when we were developing our emotional intelligence as kids. Things such as boundaries, things such as saying no, things such as identity, things such as, sense of belonging, and how sense of belonging actually works. We are sitting down in later stages in life to learn these things when we were meant to learn them when we were like 12 or 13, but we couldn't. Why? Because now, how are you going to learn certain things when you are busy running for your life? You have to make sure you're quiet enough, so that you're not beaten or you're not ousted. It was a lot. And kids are being bullied by teachers. And before somebody says Anastasia was generalizing, not all kids are being bullied by all teachers, okay? But there are kids being bullied by teachers because the teachers are projecting onto the kids the insecurities they had when they were kids. Go and get help. Your job is to educate. If anything else you're doing has nothing to do with educating a child, then move on. And before those, I know there are other excuses. This is how the world is. It's not. It's the world you're trying to create and it doesn't exist. It doesn't work anymore. You're in a space where anything can happen. And because of that, there are a lot. Right now, suicide rates have doubled. It's crazy, especially amongst men. The same men who are told, you just a bit, just being feminine, just a bit, unatembea sijui kiaje, you're beaten. And suicide rates have doubled, if not tripled, all because there was no safe space for this kid. And that's how school trauma affects how you relate in your work, in your personal life, how you treat yourself. That self-criticism you have, think about it. Who told you weren't enough the most? Whenever you have a product and you feel like it's not there yet, who kept telling you that your work was not there yet all the time? Think about it. And that's why toxic Kenyan school culture needs to change. People need to take accountability. And I remember my mom telling me, She was like, but us in our school, we didn't have these things. And I'm like, it must have been nice because let me tell you, I told you, the director of my high school used to say, every time we were in church, that all girls were going to become prostitutes, and she was not having an institution where she was encouraging prostitution. I'm not even sure what we did to her, to be honest, up to now. But all I remember is that every time in church, there was a problem. But guys, let me tell you this right now. You have to question your coping mechanisms and your beliefs, especially the ones that are slowing you down from accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish, the goals in your life, personal, career, family, relationship, be it platonic or romantic. You need to start questioning them. And questioning them may not necessarily mean at you going and booking a therapy session, but you need to sit down and actually analyze what is going to be working for you from now on and what needs to stay behind. And don't judge yourself for having them, because a lot of the times you have no control. But from now henceforth, because you're questioning it, it is now your responsibility to make sure you get better. Anyway, that's it for my rant for today. By the way, for those guys who are joining now, honestly, I don't know how to help you. What I'm gonna say is, it was Mental Health by Anastasia on Radio 254, and today was episode 46, School Trauma, the trend on TikTok about outing the toxic Kenyan school system. It's not only Kenyan school system, but schools in general in Kenya, honestly. There are good schools, I'm not gonna lie. I went to a really good A-level school, in my opinion. Okay, I liked the teachers. The teachers I had to deal with, I liked those ones. Not everybody liked them. I liked how I related to them. I also saw some of their toxic traits a lot when it wasn't dealing with me. But in comparison to where I was in primary, but anyway, I'm just saying, some of the behaviors you have, there's a reason why you have them. It's now your responsibility to question them and find a way to change them. Create better coping mechanisms, challenge your defense mechanisms. And if you need help, it's coping mechanisms and defense, like could defend, and defense mechanisms. And if you need any help, of course, you can DM me on mentalhealth_by-anastasia.ke on Instagram, and I can help you from there. I can also refer you to many other therapists that I have on my phone and their IG accounts. If not, you can just check on my highlights on Instagram. As I said, it's at mentalhealth_by-anastasia.ke. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. I will try to continue the consistency, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. For those who are about to go out, take care. I think it's cold. I can't really tell. The studio is very dark. Well, it's bright, but you can't tell outside. That's what I meant. Anyway, I hope you guys do have a lovely evening. Do stay safe and stay warm. There's like a bug going out there because of the weather change. I hope you guys are having a lovely weekend. And for those who are just chilling inside, ni sawa tu jivinjari. All I'm saying is that please take care, stay safe, and if anything, just DM me. I hope you guys do have a lovely weekend. Peace.
Saa 2 usiku hujanipigia, mara ngapi nitangoja nishajiprepare. Pesa ya Uber iwapi mpenzi, si unitumie. My heels are so high siwezi tembea. ready to murder. Ooh, makeup on flick, check. Dressed to kill, check. Ready to murder, murder, murder. Niko ready kudunda kuhappen I'm ready to party. Kudunda kuhappen Niko ready kudunda kuhappen I'm ready to party. Kudunda kuhappen yes, I'm a slave queen. Slave, 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 slave. I'm a slave. Listen, Rahasibure, you need to have money. Oh honey, honey, you know I'm worth it. Rahasibure, you need to have money. Oh honey, honey, you know I'm worth it. You know I'm worth it. Stop me, baby. Lazzy money represent. Keeping up with all the trends. Keep me feeling so fresh. Stop me, baby.